Good morning, everybody. I was challenged by my friend Brian Kusko to define what I meant when I said that he had mastered the work-life balance, that balancing act. And he wanted me to comment below what I meant, but that's kind of a big question, isn't it? I mean, there's all kinds of, you can watch just on YouTube about work-life balance. There's some great TED Talks about it. There's all kinds of professionals who talk about it. There's talks about what it means for different people. Most people say it's a fallacy or it's unachievable, unattainable. So I wanted to take a stab at it and see if I could at least answer my perspective of the way I think about it for you guys today in this just quick video. Let me start with a story. The first time that I went to Komodo Island, I probably went like any of you would go with the intention of seeing the dragons there. I mean, incredible creatures, amazing experience, bucket list type of thing for a lot of people. And so the first time I went there, that's what I set out to do. I spent all this time with the dragons. And it's funny, you know, it's a national park. And so like a lot of national parks, the animals just walk around. They're not really bothered by people. They're used to seeing them all the time. And so, you know, in about one day, you can see all the Komodo dragons that you want. I mean, you can sit down next to them. I had them sitting like this, you know, full height, licking me in the face. Touched them when the rangers weren't looking. And I also got to play with some tree vipers, those cool blue Insularis. I got to play with Russell's vipers and some cobras, and even saw a flying dragon while I was there. Fun stuff. But after that first day, I was pretty much done. Well, being that it had been a dream of mine my entire life to go there, I didn't go like a tourist would to go see it one day because I happened to be in the neighborhood. I was set to be there for, I think, maybe 10 days or something like that. And, you know, the thing I noticed the morning of the second day, there was a fisherman in a boat just offshore. And then when he came in, I asked him where he was from, what he was doing there. And he said, oh, I'm just from right around the corner. So we walked over and we saw his village. And on Komodo Island, there is a completely poverty-stricken, you know, but very unique village and people group. And as I spent time with them, I began to fall in love with their story. There's the legend of Putri Naga, the dragon princess, as they call it, that explains how they're tied to the land and a part of it. And that old legend kind of ties with modern history when the government had driven them off of the island and taken them out of their old stone houses that they had on top of the hills. And then the dragons supposedly disappeared, so the government brought the people back so that the dragons would come around again. And so there's a new modern legend and myth about it. They talk a lot about the things that they've lost and the ways that things have changed. It had intrigued me. And it changed my perspective of what it was like to go to Komodo Island. And Brian Kusko can tell you this. He went to Komodo Island and he asked me what he should bring. And I said, let me send you some money to buy some things for the villagers there. You know, because the dragons are cool, the dragons are fun. But when I stopped to look around, I found something that I could connect with in a way that was just as, if not more meaningful than what I had found with the dragons. And, you know, it was then that I learned that sometimes our perception of the world is too simplistic. You know, we think that if we want work-life balance, then we have to work for a company that gives you a casual Friday or, you know, values your time with your children, does things like, if a company provides you with something like paternity leave, they obviously value your family time and the connection with things like that. And so that's what we think of when we think of work-life balance. But I would throw out that it is something much more. All of these companies that invite family over to work, inevitably, they basically have you working for them all the time, even more. And people that have a great work-life balance, a lot of times are the ones that don't work. We see a lot of people just kind of minimize everything, run away from society. My dad used to talk about that all the time. He said, that's it, I'm fed up, I'm just going to go feral. He always said, I'm going feral. That's the end of it, I can't deal anymore. And that was kind of his romantic dream solution to escape his stressful life, trying to always get money so that he could buy things that he doesn't need to impress people that he doesn't like, and on it goes in this endless circle. But I think work-life balance is about something more. It's about being intentional and realizing the fact that we as humans have many sides to who we are. We have our mental health to pay attention to, our emotional health, and our spiritual health. And when we try to take on so many things, I mean, society kind of tells us we need to be all things to all people and do everything all the time. What we end up doing is stealing a little bit of time, a little bit of energy, a little bit of life out of all the other areas within ourselves and devoting it to these, multiple goals that we have, and we can't really do any of them well. We find ourselves chasing our tail, getting behind, being upset with our failures, and just wondering why we can't have it easy. Why doesn't anything ever work out nicely for me? And I think it's because when we try to do so many things, we have so many goals towards this idea of success that we have. We want to be successful, that it detracts it makes us incapable of doing anything really well. And sometimes that definition of success can be the problem itself. So I would say that in order to have a very good work-life balance, you need to focus on one thing. And your life will, when you choose the one thing that is your priority in life, your life will create itself around that one thing. If you allow somebody else to create your life for you, they will. As soon as we're in school, they say we have to do good grades so we can get into a good college, so we can get a good education, so we can get a good job, so that we can have a good retirement, so that someday, many days from now, we'll be able to sit back and enjoy life after it's passed us by. And that's exactly what's going to happen if you just allow people to design your life for you. Everybody's ready to do that. If you're single, all of your friends want to find somebody for you to pair up with. If you're out of work, everybody tries to get you jobs, whether you want them or not. People are always trying to solve your problems as they perceive them. And I would say that to do it well, we focus on one thing. Let's take Brian, for example. The reason Brian Kusko from, there he is, Triple B TV, has a good work-life balance is because his one focus is in connecting with the world around him. That's it. When you watch his videos, he'll show steam coming off of his tea in the morning, or the way the light comes through the grass in the foreground of something. He's got this whole thing going on, and it just looks pretty. He's sitting out on a mountain somewhere, or he's running in the down a natural path. He'll stop and find a little snake, a little native snake there, or some crazy exotic thing, but he'll connect with it beyond its color and its pattern. Instead, he's up in its face and he's just looking at it and he's trying to have that moment. And this singular focus that he has about connecting with the world allows him to be a good father, because rather than trying to raise his children, he spends time with them. He just wants to enjoy them. He enjoys their company. Rather than trying to be a good husband or get his wife to understand him and support him in the way he needs to be supported, he lets Hillary be who she's going to be and just tries to connect with her in the different things that they encounter as they go through life. And she does the same. And so it makes him good with YouTube, because YouTube should not be a platform by which we just force our philosophies down other people's throats or get 1 million views so that we can get a paycheck. somehow at the end of all of this or any of that. He uses YouTube to connect with people that are on the other side of the screen. And so this singular focus of connecting helps him to live life really well. But I don't think that that's necessarily enough either. See, Brian Kusko is the type of person, and in this regard, I think we can all aspire to be, regardless of what our lives look like, whether they look very different from his or similar. And that's in this. Everything he does in a positive way, so that whenever he touches something, he connects with the beach, nature, his wife, his children, Freedom Breeders as a company, YouTube viewers, other keepers as he interviews them for his channel. Whenever he connects with something, he has an intentionality about leaving it just a little bit better than it was before. And with enough of that, as you go through that in life, all of those little moments, instead of stealing energy from all the little things in our lives to dump them into the idea of becoming successful, he makes little investments throughout the day, throughout each of us. And every comment response he makes in YouTube, little segments that he does in his videos. And I think for the rest of us, regardless of what our lives look like, if we take the time to make small investments in the things around us, rather than to go to Komodo Island and say, wow, dragons, click, click, here's me with a dragon, click, check it out, I got this cool souvenir right from the, this souvenir was from the chief of the village, and taking this little snapshot and running away. When I go to Komodo now, I go there to connect with the people, to make sure they're okay. I've gone several times to try to benefit the state of their physical and their mental, their emotional, their spiritual, and their financial well-being. And as we make these little deposits throughout life, we begin to build up a legacy and a momentum, and we attract other positive things. It always says opposites attract, but that doesn't necessarily work in this instance, where if you're a positive person, positive people will surround you. If you're a supportive person, positive supporters will come behind you and help you. Whereas if you're negative, you're going to bring all that stuff into your life. So if you make these selfless little deposits into everything as you go throughout life, you begin to create a life that is truly successful. And here's the thing, guys. If enough of us did this, we could challenge the idea that society has that, he with the most toys wins at the end of his life. And we could actually redefine just what it is to be successful in the first place. And I think once you find an intentional, positive, and enriching definition for exactly what success is in your life, and then you chase it with singular focus while investing in others all the time, taking your resources, your network, your ideas, whatever you have, and distributing them around everybody else to build them up, you will be built up. And at the end of your life, I think you'll find yourself achieving a measure of success that a lot of the world may not understand. But I think if you're watching my channel, you're probably a reptile person anyway. So I think I would venture to assume that you already know what it's like to see beauty in an area that other people undervalue, to connect with something that other people don't understand you can connect with. Why would you want a snake that hates you when you can have a dog that licks you on the face when you come home? And you, I think, already have the ability to look beyond the surface, not worry about what other people think, and find value in areas that are often left unseen by other people. And so I would encourage you guys to make those deposits as you go throughout today, and find some work-life balance for yourself. Hey, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. We'll catch you next time, which actually will be later today on a Free Tip Friday.